The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Central Kitsap, on your new Pierce Fire apparatus, job number 34132. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Let's start down at the front bumper. Located in the cutout section of the front bumper, you'll find 2 tow hooks forward facing. You'll also find, located directly in the center, your electronic siren. Moving up onto the face, you'll find Central Kitsap reflective, and then you'll also find your headlight structure on the left and right, high and low beam and turn indicator. On the grille, you'll find the Pierce logo along with 2 forward-facing emergency lights, and just above the Freightliner logo, you'll find your grab handle for tilting the hood of the vehicle. Let's move around to the side, where you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light. Located directly on the top of the fender, you'll find your turn indicator, and then moving up toward the hood area, you'll find your air intake. Let's move now down to the forward wheels, where you'll find Alcoa wheels and Michelin tires. Moving back now to the side area, where you'll find the release mechanism, one on the passenger and driver side. This allows you to release and tilt the hood. Moving to the fuel tank, you'll find the ultra low sulfur diesel. It is the silver cap. Just to the right of that location, you'll find the blue cap, which is your DEF fill location. Just above these steps is where you'll find the battery box access to the batteries. As we move to the side door, you'll find your grab handle, which is a keyed entry, and also a grab handle for firefighter safety on the rear section of the cab. You'll also find mirrors. At the very top, you'll find a flat mirror, and at the bottom section, you'll find a convex mirror. Let's take a look inside the cab. When we have the door in the open position, I'd like to point out on the door panel itself, you'll find all of your warning, safety, and caution information. And you'll also find this as you enter into the cab, a warning here regarding slip or fall hazard. Let's take a look inside the cab. First, let's find a grab handle on the far right-hand side. As we move inside, you'll find comfort controls on the seat. It is an air ride seat for the driver's position. And then just below the seat, you'll find this yellow placard, which is manufactured from Pierce Manufacturing. We'll talk a little bit about that in just a moment. And down at the lower portion, you'll find your master battery switch. As we look to the floor, you'll find the quarter turn master battery switch. As we look to the seat itself, you'll find comfort controls, air ride on the right-hand side of the image, and then also front to back on the orange handle. This is manufactured May of 2020 with a 5-digit job number of 34132. It also has gross vehicle weight rating, cold tire inflation. This also houses all the information regarding the fluid types and fluid amounts. Let's take a look now at the dash area. First, starting with the keyed ignition. It's on the lower left-hand side, about the firefighter's left knee. As we move up to the very top, you'll find speed control. Just down from that speed control, you'll find set, excel, and coast. This is for cruise control. Just down from that, you'll find your headlights and running lights. And down at the very bottom, you'll find an increase or decrease. Moving all the way back up to the top, to the black placard. This is going to be the placard regarding the height of your vehicle, 9 feet 5 inches, the length 29 feet 10 inches, and a gross vehicle weight rating of 54,600 pounds. If you make any adjustments to your vehicle, please update this placard. Let's go ahead and take a look at the dash console. First, starting on the left-hand side, you'll find your transmission temperature, water temperature, and oil pressure. On the right, you'll find your fuel, DEF level, front and rear air, tachometer and speedometer in the center, and at the very top, you'll find diagnostic information. Moving to the dash area, mounted on top of the dash, you'll find the monitor for your backup camera. As we start on the left-hand side of the console area, you'll find your air filter minder. This is for the engine's air filter. To the right, you'll find your ATC, automatic traction control. Just down from that, you'll find your Allison transmission pad with a digital readout. We do have some indicator lamps here.
First, let's start to the right with the yellow pull to apply your system parking brake and push to release. Moving just to the right, you'll find switches here for your pump. All the way to the right, you'll find a digital readout menu location. Further to the right, you'll find a red do not move your apparatus indicator light. Just down from that, you'll find two additional indicators. First, the green OK to engage your high idle, and then just beneath that, a battery tally light. Let's move now to the switches. First, starting with the mirror heat on the left-hand side. The next two switches will be for your axle interlock, and then all the way to the right, you'll find your regen switch. Moving further to the right, you'll find your Pierce seatbelt information, indicating green, someone is in the seat and belted, red, they are in the seat and not belted. Just down from that, you'll find climate control. There are two 12-volt barrel style accesses on the left and right dash panel. As we move toward the center, you'll find window control and then also all of your door lock controls. Let's move overhead of the operator, just a quick view, general orientation. First, there's a set of switches over the operator's head. Let's first start with that set of switch banks. Starting on the left, you'll find your emergency master, lower zone, rear zone, and your opticom. Those will be your emergency warning lights. To the very far right, you'll find a selector switch for siren or horn. Moving toward the center, you'll find your rear scene and front floodlight switch. There are also a few future switches that can be added at any point. Moving all the way to the very far right will be your siren head and also PA speaker system. Let's move now down to the very bottom section of your pump panel. First, starting with a few drains, you can see indicating here they are color-coded and also labeled. Just to the right, you'll find a perimeter light. Let's move upward onto the pump panel and we'll identify a few items within this area. First, starting on the left, you'll find an air inlet. Moving up from that location, you'll find a warning label indicating that caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. Also moving to the right, you'll find a 2.5-inch auxiliary inlet. It is a female. Moving to the right, you'll find your auto charge system. When plugged into shore power, this unit will activate. Just down from that, you'll find your main pump drain. And then further to the right, you'll find the shoreline inlet. Moving up from this location and just to the left, you'll find the number 1 discharge. It is a 2.5-inch. Moving just to the right, you'll find your large diameter pump intake. And then further to the right, you'll find a placard from Hale. This is the manufacturer of your pump, and it will provide information as to the model number. Moving up to the left, you'll find a warning label here that only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment and only after they've received proper training. Let's move to the right where you'll find your fire pump primer. There are also instructions here for best practices, 1,000 RPMs when engaging that fire pump primer. Let's move up onto the pump panel a little bit higher where you'll find your number 1 crosslay and number 2 crosslay on the left, the yellow and white. You'll also find the associated gauge. To the right, you'll find the number 1 driver's side discharge, which is red in color. And then to the right, you'll find the number 2 passenger side, which is orange in color. Just down from that, you'll find the green large diameter passenger side discharge. As we move to the right again, you'll find your tank fill and recirculating line, and then also your tank to pump. Moving just to the left in the very center, you'll find your engine cooler. That is a twist, not a pull. Moving up to the very top, you'll find your pump discharge and pump intake master gauges. To the right, you'll find a set of switches, your panel lights, and any future switches that may be added. Just down in the blue module, you'll find your water tank level indicator, and beneath it, you'll find the vacuum and pressure test gauge ports, which are currently plugged. Moving to the right, you'll find a black speaker. This is an audible alarm. The outer edge of the bezel can be rotated to dampen the sound. Moving up from this location, you'll find your pump boss, which is your pressure throttle governor. We'll go over that in great detail in the next set of images. Just to the right, you'll find your minimum operation maintenance schedule for 150, 200, and 250 psi. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the pump boss. On the left-hand side, you'll find, if illuminated, it will be yellow, a check engine light. Located in the center, you'll find a digital readout for the RPM. And then moving to the right, if illuminated, would be a stop engine, and that would be red in color. Let's move down to the menu button, which is the blue button, which allows you to scroll through the various menu functions of your pump boss. Located in the center, you'll find diagnostic information regarding your engine. And then moving all the way to the right, the red silence button allows you to silence any audible alarms created by the pump boss. There are two options, either pressure or throttle. Those are the two yellow buttons on your left. Located in the center, you'll find a digital readout for your menu, and then to the right, you'll find a throttle ready, which will be a green indicator if illuminated. Moving further down, you'll find a green preset button, allowing you to preset any pressure or throttle positions. As we move down to the very bottom, you'll find the right to increase, left to decrease throttle, and also a idle button directly in the center. Let's move upward from this location where you'll find your crosslays. Located in the crosslay is the number 1 and number 2, and as we move to the far right, you'll find a deadlay. Let's take a look at the body of their apparatus. We'll first start down at the lower section with a marker light located just in front of the rear axle. As we move in between the two axles, you'll find an emergency warning light and then also a location for bottle storage. There are two roll-up compartments, one in front of and one in rear of the axle. Let's move just inside the front compartment where you'll find an adjustable shelf and then also your battery charging system. When plugged into shore power, your auto charger will activate, allowing you to maintain the batteries. Let's move now just upward from this compartment where the American flag is. You'll find a water tank level indicator. Let's go ahead and move from this location back down to the axle area where you'll find in front of the rear axle a marker turn indicator clearance light. As we look to the rear, you'll find Alcoa wheels and also Michelin tires. In between those, you'll find an emergency warning light and then also a location for bottle storage. There are two locations here for SCBA bottles, in addition with retaining straps to hold those bottles inside the compartment. Looking at the rear axle now, let's move to the very rear compartment where you'll find a roll-up door. As we gain access inside the roll-up door, you will find LED lighting. From this location, let's move to the very rear of the apparatus, but let's take a look at the side and rear section. We'll start down at the very bottom section of the apparatus, just under the tailboard. As we look under the tailboard, you'll find perimeter lighting and also two drains. Let's identify those two drains next. They are swing handle drains. This is going to be your direct tank fill for the left side, and there's also one for the right side. As we move to the rear section, you'll find a lighting structure housing the brake, turn, emergency warning light, and backup light. At the very bottom, you'll also find an additional emergency warning light. In between the stairs here, or ladder, is where you'll find the light which will turn on the hose bed. As we move to the warning labels, we have two warning labels here regarding fall hazard. We also have a warning label here regarding entanglement hazard. Because of those lines, there is the possibility for entanglement. As we move down to the left and to the right side of the vehicle, you'll find in this compartment your long hose storage for your suction hose. Let's move back to the very top. At the top of the ladder, you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light. And as we move downward from this location into the center area, you'll find also emergency warning light on the passenger and driver's side. And then you'll also find a rear-facing LED water tank level indicator. Let's move to the very center where you'll find your backup camera located at the very top. Let's move to the top of the hose bed area where you'll find on the left a walking surface defined by the yellow tape, and at the very front section you'll find your top fill location for your water tank, and then also at the very front a working light. Let's move now to the rear of the apparatus where you'll find two 2.5-inch rear direct tank fill inlets. You'll also find your release mechanism for the handle for your discharge port. Couple quick images here. This is the direct tank fill. As we move down, you'll find the sleeve, which is inside the tank chute. As we move to the right, you'll find the storage location for your suction hose. And then as we move to the right of the apparatus, this is going to be the passenger side. Same configuration, two roll-up doors, one in the front and one in the rear. In between the two axles, you'll find emergency warning light and also SCBA bottle storage. Also on this side, you'll find a drop-down equipment storage location for your porta-tank. Let's take a look inside some of the compartments, first starting with the rear roll-up door. Once again, inside you'll find LED lighting. As we move to the midsection or area between the two axles, you'll find an emergency warning light and also SCBA bottle storage location, same configuration as the driver's side. Retaining straps inside to once again hold bottles securely. Let's move to the front where you'll find a marker light. As we move to the front compartment, you'll find a roll-up door, LED lighting inside, and ventilation. Let's go ahead and take a look at the powered equipment rack. This is housing your porta-tank. Let's go ahead and move from this location to the midsection or pump area on the passenger side. First starting just beneath the crosslays where you'll find an access panel door. Beneath that, you'll find your large diameter passenger side discharge. Just to the right of that, you'll find your powered equipment rack. These are the controls for lowering your porta tank. As we move down, you'll find your large diameter pump intake. It is the chrome cap. And then moving to the far right, you'll find a 2.5-inch discharge. Just under that 2.5-inch discharge, you will find an additional warning label here regarding extreme pressure. Be cautious when removing caps. At the very bottom portion, you'll find all of your discharge drains that are color-coded and labeled. Just underneath the side tailboard is where you'll find your perimeter lighting. And here are a few close-ups of the items that we just talked about. First on the left is your large diameter pump intake, and on the right is that 2.5-inch discharge. Across the very bottom, color-coded and labeled discharge drains. Moving back up, you'll find the 2.5-inch passenger side discharge. And then let's go ahead and go over the powered equipment rack. There are some instructions to raise and also to lower. We do have information here regarding danger. Because of that movement of the rack, there is the possibility of injury. You'll also find a master on and off switch, which will illuminate a green light when it is powered, and then the lift up or down switch. Moving up to the very top, you'll find your 3 crosslays, the 1 and 2 crosslay, and then also the dead lay. As we move to the front, just under the steps into the cab, you'll find perimeter lighting. And now let's go ahead and move just inside the cab with the door in the open position. You'll find affixed to the door panel all of our warning and safety information. As we move just inside to the cab, you'll also find additional information here regarding the step area that may be slippery. As we move inside to the seated area at the floor, you'll find a foot pedal. This will control your electronic siren from the officer position. As we move back to the dash area, just underneath the officer seat, you'll also find additional storage. There is a quarter turn, which gains access into that space. Looking overhead in the officer's area, you'll find the microphone for your PA system. Underneath that, you'll also find reading lights at the very bottom section. And then to the very far right, you'll find an additional storage location. Let's take a look at the front of the apparatus. At the very top, you'll find a forward-facing floodlight. Moving up onto the top of the apparatus, or brow, you'll find your clearance lights. And then up onto the roof of the apparatus, you'll find your emergency warning light bar. And just to the front of that light bar, you'll find your opticom system. Congratulations, Central Kitsap, on your new Pierce Fire apparatus, job number 34132. If you have any questions regarding your apparatus, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.